Morning guys, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, thanks for stopping by. Well, today I wanted to talk about 0 to 60 times, or 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, and why I think they're pointless. Now, I did a little bit of research before I started this video, and I cannot for the life of me find out when people actually started doing 0 to 60 timing on the cars. I know they did it in the 80s, but trying to find something before that, concrete, I'm struggling finding anything which states an actual date. Now, the 0 to 60 came about for the UK and the American markets, presumably because the Europeans and a lot of other countries use kilometers an hour, and 0 to 100 kilometers an hour is a nice round number. And the US and the UK market just took the 60 mile an hour, which it makes it a little bit easier than the 62.5 miles an hour or whatever it is, which actually makes the 100 kilometers an hour. So back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, whenever they started doing it, doing 0 to 60 tests and using it as the benchmark performance figure made sense, because let's be honest, family cars did 0 to 60 in 15 seconds. Hot hatches, when they started, they were doing it in around sort of like 9 to 10 seconds. Sports cars, 7 seconds. Even supercars, when they came out, I think the first supercar was classified as a Lamborghini Miura. You know, even that was sort of like, 6 seconds. So it made sense to use 0 to 60 or 0 to 100 kilometers an hour as a benchmark. But nowadays, technology's moved on so far that doing that sprint really makes no difference to actually working out how fast a car is. When you look at cars nowadays, you've got cars that have got four-wheel drive, which get off the line really quickly. You've got rear-wheel drive cars, which are always going to get off the line quicker than front-wheel drive cars, simply because of the weight transfer. When you accelerate from a standstill, the front end goes up, the back end goes down, so it puts more grip on the back tyre. So a rear-wheel drive car is always going to accelerate quicker than a front-wheel drive car. And then you take into account things like launch control, traction control, bigger, stickier tyres, all that sort of thing. And it's getting a bit ridiculous, because you've now got cars that will do 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds. Pretty much every hypercar now will hit the 60 mark in under 3 seconds. So it's making it a bit pointless. Now, what the European markets are doing now, certainly the German markets, what they're using as a performance benchmark now is 0 to 200 kilometers an hour, which is about 124 miles an hour. And that makes far more sense, because that's actually telling you the performance of the car and just not how quick it can get off the line. It doesn't tell you just how good the launch control system is or the traction control system. To give you a good example, the current Ford Focus RS is a four-wheel drive car with nearly 350 horsepower. Ford claim it'll do 0 to 60 in 4.6 seconds, which is very quick. But when you delve a little bit deeper into that, it actually only does 0 to 100 miles an hour in about 12.5 seconds, which is actually slower than this front-wheel drive, say at Leon Cupra, with less than 290 horsepower. So the 0 to 60 times on these cars are becoming completely pointless and irrelevant. It doesn't tell you the actual performance of the car. And I'm guessing the reason why they still use 0 to 60, because if they use 0 to 100 or 0 to 124 miles an hour, obviously that's not a legal limit in the UK. So maybe they can't get away with advertising that. I don't know. But with all the technology that's about nowadays, 0 to 60 times to me just seem completely and utterly pointless. I personally think a more realistic performance benchmark we should be using in the UK is 30 to 70 miles an hour, because that takes away the initial traction off the line. And by 30 miles an hour, most cars have got the traction, and then it's purely about engine performance rather than fancy electronics. So that's my take on it. What do you think is your, best ideas for performance factoring, or does it not bother you? Like I say, I want to go and say that using 0 to 60 times for maybe a standard family car or a standard hatchback is perfectly acceptable, because when you're doing it in 10 seconds or whatever, it really doesn't make any difference. But when you start using it for really, really fast cars, to me, I think it's pointless and it's irrelevant. But let me know what you think. Leave it in the comments section below. Like and subscribe if you already haven't, and I'll see you again on the next video. Thanks for watching.